Well, the Northern Ireland Protocol is part of the withdrawal agreement, and it was brought in and agreed to by Parliament, I think very reluctantly. I think a lot of MPs thought that it wasn't right. However, they wanted to get the withdrawal agreement through and Brexit done. And there was always a feeling that the protocol could be fixed afterwards. What it really does is actually makes, as far as we're concerned in Northern Ireland, Great Britain a third country, because we have been left in the European Union in its single market for almost all our trading arrangements, which means that every time the European Union makes a new rule in the future, we have to go along with it. And this has meant that they have introduced lots of ridiculous processes where goods coming from Great Britain to Northern Ireland have to be checked, have to pay a certification. And so a lot of businesses in Great Britain are saying, look, it's not worth our while sending to Northern Ireland. So we are now being treated extremely differently from the rest of the United Kingdom. In other words, we didn't leave. Brexit didn't, although we had the same ballot paper saying, do you want the United Kingdom to leave? Northern Ireland has basically stayed in. And even the Supreme Court just last week, where in the High Court in Belfast, where there was a legal action about the Act of Union, one of the justices said, Northern Ireland is now more in the European Union than in the United Kingdom. And of course, that raises the whole constitutional issue of how the Act of Union has been broken, and how the Belfast Agreement, which is where all the institutions were set up, like the Assembly, have also now been broken. And we're in a situation where Liz Truss really needs to get on with doing what is in the protocol, which says that if there are problems economically, societally, and other ways, then Article 16 can be invoked, and there has to be a complete look again at the protocol and how it's working.
Yeah, I mean, former Brexit Secretary Lord Frost has actually said that the poison, and that's his word, between the UK and the EU will actually remain if the protocol isn't renegotiated. But Kate, what impetus is there for the EU to actually do this at this time? Because a lot of people are saying, well, hang on a minute, if we do this right now, we will damage relations between the United Kingdom and the EU at a time when Europe, as a continent, needs to be united behind the response to the Ukrainian people?
Well, I actually think that it's a very important and good time to be invoking Article 16. I mean, the European Union supposedly cares about what's happening in Ukraine. It's a horrific situation. It's brought a lot of the EU countries, led by the UK, to do a lot of very, very good things. You know, the tiny problem of the European Union trying to protect its internal market, because that's what this is all about. We have a border in Northern Ireland with a country, the Republic of Ireland, that will still be in the European Union. And therefore, they want to protect anything coming from Great Britain to Northern Ireland that might just happen to get over the border and go back into the EU. I mean, there's been some ridiculous examples of this where they wanted to stop certain types of sausages coming in, where olive oil wasn't. They were worried that olive oil was going to come from Great Britain to Northern Ireland, and then somebody would take it over the border. All of this is ridiculous. And therefore, this is such a tiny aspect. And this is when the European Union should be saying, look, we've got a lot on our plate. This is just nonsense. And of course, we know why they don't want to do that. They're still trying to punish the United Kingdom for leaving. And that's as simple as that. And I'm afraid Liz Truss has promised that Article 16 will be invoked. The government said a year ago the criteria had been met to invoke it. We really need to get on to this, because I would say that things in Northern Ireland are very unstable. The elections are coming. There is very unlikely to be an assembly again formed if the protocol is still in place. We can't have the protocol and the Belfast Agreement. So it has to be one or the other. And I think most people realise that the Belfast Agreement's much more important than the protocol.
Yes, I mean, a group of unionist politicians, as you well know, Kate, challenged the protocol in judicial review proceedings, claiming that actually it was unlawful.
Yes, I'm one of those, actually.
Exactly, so you well know. But you actually argue in that judicial review that it conflicted with the 98, the Belfast Agreement, and actually going a lot further back, the Acts of Union. But the court rejected that challenge on all grounds. So how can actually unionists sat there at home in NI today, Kate, what can they actually do about this?
Well, of course, we always saw the courts in Northern Ireland as the way to actually get to the Supreme Court. This is a United Kingdom issue. You know, it affects the whole of the United Kingdom, the fact that the Union has, as the court said, it has been subjugated. But what it said, it was suspended. They were suspending that aspect of it. And of course, the crucial thing about the Belfast Good Friday Agreement was the principle of consent, that Northern Ireland would remain part of the United Kingdom until the people of Northern Ireland had decided otherwise. What we're seeing is a salami slicing of that relationship between Northern Ireland, and what the court said was that really was fine. Go ahead and do that. That wasn't actually affecting the status of Northern Ireland as long as we weren't actually being handed over to the Republic of Ireland, which is a complete and utter nonsense, and one that we will definitely be taking to the Supreme Court. But more importantly, if the principle of consent can go over something like this, and nobody in Northern Ireland was asked did they want to keep the protocol or did they want the protocol, then what else can be done? And every time something new comes from the European Union, we will have to comply with it. I think the government do know that it's not sustainable. It's just that they have to have the leadership and the courage to actually say to the European Union, nonsense this is, we've got to renegotiate this, we've got to get a way that is normal and sensible and is not just punishing us because we chose to leave the European Union.
Well, Kate, we'll have to get you back on to keep us up to date on that. Thank you very much. That was Kate Hoey, former Labour MP and now independent peer.